Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something that's, well, completely reshaped the digital world.
Yeah.
The creator economy. Our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to cut through all the hype, the viral success stories, and really understand both the huge opportunities and the, frankly, critical challenges creators are facing right now.
Yeah, and we've got a good stack of sources to work from, including some really insightful stuff from the Creator Economy Revolution and Future, which tracks market trends through 2025 and even looks further out.
Okay, let's set the stage first, because the scale we're talking about here, it's not some niche thing anymore, is it?
Oh, not at all. The creator economy is already a $250 billion global industry, a powerhouse. Yeah. But the really striking part is the speed. Projections have it hitting, get this, $1.35 trillion by 2033.
Wow.
Right, that's a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 23%, which means it's growing faster than most established economic sectors. It's fundamentally changing how creative work gets valued, how it gets paid for globally.
Okay, let's unpack that right away, because those numbers are massive, but they also seem to point to this core tension we really need to dig into. If it's exploding like that, hundreds of billions.
Why are, 88% of creators still doing this part-time? Our sources are saying only 12% are full-time creators, and even among the top earners, only about a quarter rely on it as their main income. What's going on there?
That's the paradox, isn't it? That really defines the digital hustle today, the money. It's definitely there. But it seems to be pooling right at the top, with the platforms themselves and maybe the top 1% of creators. It's not really trickling down effectively. It just highlights this huge gap between, the dream of easy success online and the reality for the average creator trying to make a stable living.
Yeah, that structural imbalance feels key. And it brings us right to how the content itself is changing. Seems like two big forces are driving that: short-form video and AI. Let's start with the viewing habits, because that seems to have completely shifted the ground rules. Absolutely. Short-form video, TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts, it's dominant now. Can't deny it. The data shows something like 90% of consumers watch short-form video every single day.
90%. Daily.
Daily. And the growth rate is accelerating. Short-form video posts apparently jumped 70% in 2025 alone. So if you're making content online, this is pretty much the main arena now.
And that just changes everything for the creator, doesn't it? You're not building a 10-minute story anymore. It's all about grabbing attention in the first second or two, delivering value instantly, keeping people hooked without the usual narrative arc. Plus, that super fast format makes slapping on traditional ads like pre-roll kind of awkward and less effective, right?
Definitely harder to integrate smoothly. And that difficulty gets amplified by the second big disruptor, AI. And this is where things get really interesting, I think, because AI is basically democratizing high-quality production. It's removing a lot of the technical hurdles.
Right. What kind of tools are making the biggest waves there?
We're seeing things like Adobe Sensei, platforms like Runway ML. They're essentially AI assistants. They can handle complex editing tasks, motion tracking, even animation pretty much automatically. So someone who maybe didn't have the tech skills or couldn't afford fancy equipment before, now they can produce stuff that looks really professional and do it fast and cheap. It levels the playing field, production-wise.
Okay, but that leveling effect brings this other challenge, almost an existential one, which is the rise of the virtual influencer.
That's the paradigm shift, exactly. Suddenly, you're not just competing with other human creators. You're competing with digital beings that literally never get tired. The market for virtual influencers is already pegged at $9.75 billion in 2024, and it's projected to just skyrocket. We're talking $154.83 billion by 2032. That's a CAGR of over 41%. Massive.
Can you give us an example? Who are we actually talking about?
Well, you've got digital figures like Lil Miquela, who has millions of followers, or Ludo Magalu. She's a virtual persona for a big Brazilian retailer, Magalu, and has something like 7.3 million followers. For brands, these digital entities offer, total message consistency, zero risk of personal scandals, and they're available 24/7.
And the engagement numbers they pull.
Wow.
Honestly, it's kind of wild.
That's the really eye-opening stat here. Our sources suggest virtual influencers get up to 3 times higher engagement rates compared to human influencers on the big platforms.
3 times. Why?
Well, largely because they can post with perfect consistency and they can personalize interactions at a massive scale, often driven by AI behind the scenes.
So boiling it down, what does this mean for a human creator trying to earn a living? You now has to stand out not just from other people, but from AI systems that don't need sleep, don't get creative blocks, and can pump out content like crazy. If AI starts making easily scalable content less valuable, that really pushes human creators toward revenue streams that are maybe less scalable but more valuable,
Right.
more unique,
That's the critical pivot, precisely.
which leads us straight into how monetization itself is evolving. Given the challenges with short-form ads and this new AI competition, that old ad revenue model, it just doesn't seem sustainable for most people anymore. Successful creators, it looks like, are now using multiple income streams, really focusing on that direct relationship with their fans.
Exactly. And this is where subscription models become so important for stability. Platforms like Patreon, Substack, they offer that predictable income that you just don't get relying on fluctuating ad revenue. And it's not just the money, it builds a much deeper community connection. You have dedicated fans willing to pay for something extra, premium content, exclusive access, that kind of thing.
And we're also seeing the line between being a creator and being a retailer just completely blur. The creator's the storefront now.
That's the whole social commerce boom. This fusion of content and sales, think Instagram shopping, TikTok shop, is turning creators into these sort of micro retailers. They drive impulse buys right there in the moment. The market size projections are huge. Social commerce might hit $2 trillion by 2026. That's growing at 25% CAGR.
2 trillion. Wow.
Yeah. Creators are capturing sales right when people are engaged, often just by linking the product directly in the video or post. Super effective.
And then kind of contrasting with the quick hit short videos, there's live content. That seems to hold a unique kind of value that's hard to replicate. I mean, look at Twitch. Despite all the competition, it still pulls in massive numbers. What was it, 2.44 million concurrent viewers globally?
Yeah, the engagement in live is different, and live commerce is incredibly potent. We're seeing creators report earning anywhere from $2,000 to even $35,000 from a single live shopping show.
Why is it so effective?
It's that real-time interaction, right? The feeling of authenticity, even immediacy. Plus, often there's urgency, like a limited-time deal. That combination just drives conversions in a way that polished pre-recorded content usually can't match.
Okay, so we've mapped out the massive growth, the new tools, the shifting revenue models. But now we need to pull back and look at the other side of the coin. We have to talk about the hidden costs, the sustainability crisis. Because underneath all the glossy success, there seems to be a serious mental health issue brewing.
The data really does paint a concerning picture. Our research indicates about 52% of creators have actually experienced burnout. And maybe more worryingly, 37% are actively considering leaving the profession altogether.
That's a huge number considering leaving. When you dig into why they're burning out, you see things like creative fatigue, that's about 40%, demanding workloads at 31%. But the biggest factor, the one that seems like the core structural issue here, is financial instability. That affects 55% of those feeling burnt out.
Right. That 55% figure is critical. It tells us this isn't just about, feeling creative. It's fundamentally a business structure problem. It goes right back to that paradox we started with. And the stress gets worse because of the unique pressures of this job.
Yeah.
It's that constant, always-on feeling. The creator is the brand, is the product. So the lines between personal life and work just get completely blurred.
And I imagine the stress of being totally dependent on platform algorithms must be immense, just constant anxiety.
That's what people call algorithm anxiety. It's this chronic stress. Knowing that a platform could change its algorithm tomorrow without any warning and your reach, your income could just plummet. And you have no real recourse. Plus, the financial stress is often made worse by unreliable payments. Our sources found nearly half, 48% of creators were paid late in 2024, many waiting over a month past the due date.
Wow.
So you combine that feast or famine income potential with payments you can't even rely on arriving on time. It's a recipe for severe long-term stress.
It really underscores that this is a structurally demanding, often precarious profession. It is good to see some specialized support starting to emerge, though.
Yes, thankfully. For example, there are services like Creator Care, which I think launched in 2025. They offer therapy specifically tailored to these unique creator pressures, the financial anxiety, the constant comparison trap, the professional isolation. It acknowledges the specific challenges.
Recognizing that the current system often fails that middle tier of creators. That leads us nicely into looking forward. The future buzz often centers around Web3. The promise there is about fixing some of those power imbalances, right? Getting away from total platform dependency.
Exactly. Web3, built mostly on blockchain tech, is really focused on giving ownership and control back to the creators themselves. Take NFTs, for instance. They've moved way beyond just digital art collectibles now. They're becoming these sophisticated tools for proving ownership in a verifiable way. And crucially, they enable things like automatic royalty systems through what are called smart contracts.
Okay, maybe quickly explain smart contracts for people who aren't familiar.
Sure. A smart contract is basically just a piece of code stored on a blockchain that automatically executes the terms of an agreement when certain conditions are met. So, if a creator sells an NFT representing their work, the smart contract can be set up to automatically send them a percentage, say 10%, every single time that NFT gets resold later on a secondary market. No middleman needed, no platform taking a huge cut or deciding the terms, it just happens.
That's potentially game-changing for ongoing revenue. And then there's the concept of social tokens. That's another really interesting Web3 idea. It seems to shift fans from just passive viewers to actual stakeholders.
Right. It essentially allows fans to invest directly in a creator's brand or their future success, maybe buying a token associated with that creator. This gives the creator new ways to raise funds independent of platforms, while also turning their followers into this really committed community that's financially invested. They literally benefit when the creator does well.
Now, amidst all this high-tech Web3 stuff, what's perhaps most encouraging, or maybe healthiest, is this trend our sources identify, the rise of the creator middle class. There seems to be a growing group of creators earning a decent, sustainable living, maybe in the $50,000 to $100,000 a year range, without needing massive viral fame or millions and millions of followers.
Yes, and they seem to be achieving that sustainability precisely because they're not chasing scale at all costs. Instead, they're focusing on creating high-value, maybe hyper-personalized content for smaller, really dedicated niche audiences. These micro-communities, it kind of challenges that whole idea that you need to be huge and viral to succeed. It suggests that focusing on depth of connection, on serving a specific audience really well, might be a more viable and possibly healthier long-term business model.
And achieving that stability almost certainly requires diversifying platforms, right? You just can't afford to have all your income tied to one algorithm, especially with potential political risks hovering.
Absolutely essential. All the talk around potential platform bans, like the discussions around TikTok in the past, really drove home that platform risk. Smart creators are now prioritizing building audiences they own more directly. Think email lists, dedicated websites, and content repurposing is becoming a vital skill. Taking one core piece of content and smartly adapting it for different platforms, maybe a long-form YouTube video becomes several short reels, plus a detailed article on Substack that maximizes reach and minimizes risk.
Okay, so wrapping up. We've seen this explosive trillion-dollar growth potential, but also the stark reality of where that money concentrates. We've got the double-edged sword of AI and short-form video changing everything, and this urgent need to address the very real issues of burnout, mental health, and financial instability that plague so many creators.
Yeah, and connecting all those threads, the whole future of the creator economy really seems to hinge on finding a better balance between commercial success and, well, artistic integrity and creator well-being. Things like potential regulation, maybe standardizing payment practices, and just better digital infrastructure like widespread 5G, edge computing to handle all this content. Those will be key factors. They'll determine if this revolution actually democratizes entrepreneurship like promised, or if it just becomes another system where wealth and opportunity are stuck at the very top, leaving that 88% struggling.
Which leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Considering how sophisticated virtual influencers are becoming, and that data point about them getting 3 times higher engagement, how fundamentally will human creators need to rethink what authenticity even means? How do you compete with an entity that never burns out, never has an off day, never faces creative fatigue? What does human connection look like in that future?